open? I got some questions for you. What opens with sickly religious woman Florence Scamwell? Is her name Scanwell or Scamwell? I'm gonna call her Scamwell. And her daughter Amelia, the PK, you know, a preacher's kid, standing outside of Margaret Wells' new boarding house while the youngest baby girl, Lucy, is sexing. And what closes with sex between Sir George's two slaves. One he want to own, want to sign them papers, I want to own you. And the other one, you know, I guess he's pretty loyal. If you guessed, Harlots Season 1, Episode 4, you're correct. It's my review and recap. Oh my gosh, I think I like this show. I really enjoyed watching it. And I had to stop and take notes. And I just want to be watching it. But it was really good. I think I like this show. But I'm still... I'm here for it. I'm here next week. I know that. Next week I'm gonna be looking for it. Did Harlots come out yet? Can I see Harlots? Harlots. Okay. So, again, in the opening and throughout the show, we have Florence Scamwell out there just preaching, and everybody who go through the door, she got a special message for them. If she knows something specifically about them, if not, it's a generic message about how they going to hell, and the harlots ain't worth shit, and they just gonna jack up their whole lives, and, And then we see the youngest daughter, Lucy, is I don't know if she's having a hard time finding a keeper, but the person she's having sex with, after they're finished having sex, she's like, "Did I please you, sir?" He's like, "Oh yeah, you're lovely." And then he goes outside, and the wife is like, not the wife, but the mother, Margaret Wells, is like, "Well, do you want to be her keeper?" And he's like, "I don't think it's a good match." And she's like, "Well, she's young, she's pliable, you can make her into anything you want her to be." He's like, "Well, I don't think she really feeling me." She like, "Oh yeah, she's feeling you." And he like, "Well, she kind of drew back when I touched her." And she's like, "Okay." And then later, tomorrow I got stuff to do. Alarm just jumped up on my phone. And then the mother, when the daughter is like, is he gonna be my keeper, Mom? The mother is like, "No, he was really, really interested in you, but when I asked him about his money, he don't have enough money." So she don't tell him he had enough money, but not enough interest. So that's the setup. Lady Carolyn is barren, and Lady Carolyn, I think Sir George, is that the big sister who's the harlot, what is it called? It's a fancy, or charlatan? Not a charlatan, that's a fake person, but she can be kind of fake. For survival purposes only for survival purposes. But the older daughter who's kept by the guy who wants her to sign paperwork so he can own her, is in bed with the guy who wants to own her, and he's like, "My wife, Lady Carolyn, is barren. She can't have children, and I want you to have my child. I want you to bear my heir." And she, you can tell Charlotte, or to me, the way I interpreted it, Charlotte is kind of like, okay, trying to process what he's saying and what it means. And then he's like, "Yeah, you could have the baby, and then we could send her away, and we could pretend that it's her baby." And so I think that Charlotte is kind of like, I think she almost kind of thought he wanted her, like, because there's the element of her moving up in society potentially. So I think she almost kind of thought, wow, maybe, like Pretty Woman, I'm going to go from being, a prostitute to a lady. Or he wants me for that, but he just wants to use her body in a whole nother way. I guess she figures out. And then she's like, "Well, how is Lady Carolyn gonna feel about that?" And he like, "I don't care." He don't care what his wife thinks or feels. And I think that's another thing that's kind of a turnoff for her. How am I gonna sign papers to you if I have sign myself over to you for you to own me? You don't give a care about your wife, and she has, she's higher up on the social standing than I am. What kind of care are you going to give for me? What chance does she have of having any modicum of respect or appreciation? So Charlotte, she got her eye on him, and I don't really think she, it's already clear she don't really like him, but I really don't like him. I mean, I didn't like his jealousy, but as I get to know him more, it's kind of like, ew. Now, the last episode we saw, there was like this ongoing threat to the young woman who had left the one brothel with Margaret and then went to the other brothel with Quixley. Is it Quixby? I'm very confused about that. So we just gonna say Quix. So she went to Madam Quix's place, and Quix, like she quick fasting in a hurry. And so there's been this ongoing threat that if she don't straighten up and fly right, that she's gonna get Mr. Osborne. And at the end of the last episode, she got Mr. Osborne. And so he has beat her up, or she has bruises on her back, and she's really upset about it. Her name is Emily Lacey, and Emily is very angry. So she comes into the room and she's like, I need to wash up. And the other women are like, well, you brought this on yourself. And she's like, I did this to myself. And she's showing them her bruises and stuff. She upset. So religious Florence, she's the preacher, Florence Scamwell, and she was sick. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but she's kind of coughing, and that goes throughout the episode. She's coughing. She ain't doing well. Her daughter is like, rest, mama, just relax, you know. So religious Florence is warning the little boy, the young man from America whose father just died, and the father had the wife that was not a wife, the fake wife, who was the black woman who thought she was free, but then the papers weren't signed, and then the son signed the papers for her to be free, but then kept her children. Yeah, him. So he's about to go into the brothel, the newly upwardly mobile brothel of Margaret Wells, and the religious woman is outside talking, and you know, she keeps up a steady conversation, but she said she's warning him against the blackamoor pimp. His name is Lennox. Lennox's son comes to he's trying to get repayment for his father's loan. So when the black guy opens the door, he's like, oh, the blackamoor pimp. You know, he kind of has a dry, funny sense of humor, or dry way of being that's kind of funny in a not so funny way. In a scary kind of way. In a mean way. He mean. We don't like him. So his deal is, he's like, look, you know, my father lent you the money, he's saying to Margaret Wells, and I want the money back. You know, I'm calling in this loan. We can see your brothel is not doing well. You know, the people who do come in, they got to listen to the woman screaming and preaching and, you know, making them feel guilty if they have any sense of guilt, or just, you know, she's a buzzkill. Even if you don't feel guilty, you don't want to hear that if you go into a brothel, I would imagine. I've never personally been to a brothel, but I don't think I would like want to mix going to a brothel and going to church together. And that's why she's out there. That's why she's been hired to be out there, to kill the buzz. And the Margaret is like to Lennox, his son, who's trying to get the money back. She like, look, we didn't have no time agreement. He didn't say he was lending me the money for a week or a day, so you can't come get this money. And he knows it's a business. He knows that it wasn't going, you know, turn around immediately. So what you can get is you can get the oldest form of payment, which is payment in kind. And he like, I seen your harlots, and they not worth 10 cents or whatever he says. And then one of the harlots comes into the room, and she's like, that dog is so well behaved, and it's probably about 95 pounds, and it's still a puppy. But she comes into the room, one of the harlots comes into the room, and she's like, I beg your pardon, sir. If you don't think I'm worth it, then you haven't seen close enough. And he, you know, I thought he was going to be like, get out of here. But he go on in the room, have her turn around and have sex. Meanwhile, the black woman who was his father's fake wife is in there, and when they come in to have sex, and she's just kind of like invisible, and she kind of goes out, and she's sitting on the steps. So he does, you know, he takes some form of payment. I don't know if I hope Miss Margaret is keeping a record book, because he comes back later on with his friends talking about it's on the house. So I don't know how much money, you know, has been borrowed, but, you know, he ain't gonna wear my harlots out just thinking he can get unlimited sex forever. Now, there is a limit. You know, you only lent so much money. Your daddy only lent so much money, little Lennox boy. So they're stressed. There's a conversation between Margaret Wells and the Blackamoor pimp. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, sir. And, you know, she's stressed. She's saying that, you know, they don't have money for rent. That's due in 4 days. They're at this new Greek Street location. The keeper payment, if Lucy had been able to get that guy to be her keeper, that payment, I don't know if it would have covered everything, but it would have made a big difference. And she's venting that Lucy is literally pulling away from the keepers. They need her to cleave to some keepers and get some money in this piece. Biz is slow at the moving on up brothel, so we get that sense. The wealthy virgin spoiler is back again. He's not a, I think he's representing someone, because Madam Quicks is trying to figure out, who am I getting these virgins for? Who are your people? And he don't want to tell her. He just want her to get the virgins, and he gonna pay her the money. So he's back for another virgin, you know. And she's like, we see a sisterly chat. The two sisters, is it Margaret? No, it's not Margaret. It's Lucy and Charlotte. They're together. Lucy has gone to Charlotte's house. I think she can tell she's not thriving in this business, so she wants to get some advice from her sister. So they talk about, you know, the business of managing sex work and being a mistress. And the sister tells her that there's nothing easier to master than a man in bed with a stiff little pencil. That's what Charlotte says. And then Sir George interrupts. And I don't know if he heard or not, but his jaw is all tight. But his jaw is always tight. He just mad. And I feel like, yeah, I don't like Sir George. I don't like you. If I had a choice, I wouldn't sign myself over to be your slave or anybody's slave, but certainly not you. I used to always say, I wouldn't mind being a kept woman if it was under the right circumstances with the right person, you know. But his ass ain't the right circumstance, the right person. Ew. I wouldn't even want to spend any time with him, let alone have sex with him, let alone be living in his space. Forget about, you know, all of that other, you know, stuff they talking about. So there's a business strategy session going on where they're trying to figure out, you know, look, you know, we're known, our brothel is known for the warmth of our welcome. You know, that's what we know how to do. And the woman is like, well, we're in an upper scale place now. They don't want to hear us singing bawdy songs. You know, and he's like, the Blackamoor pimp is like, well, we're known for giving a good time. And then there's, I don't know if the daughter is there at that same strategy session, but basically throughout they trying to figure out how to, you know, make this thing make it work. But the daughter is like, look, you know, oh no, we see her having tea or something somewhere later with her mom. But she's like, this woman has done you a favor. This preacher has done you a favor. She basically out there advertising that you the worst place, you like worse than hell. And I mean, who, if you want to have a good time, where you want to go? To hell. So she's done you a favor. She's your best marketing tool you got out there. She out there shouting out the virtues of what you offer, mama. So they decide they're going to have a masquerade party, and the daughter is like, I can get so-and-so there. I can't remember his name, or I think I have it in my notes, but I can get him there. And if he comes, he's, you know, he's a little dry, but if he comes, everybody will follow, and that'll get some business going. So we see the newly freed fake wife, and, you know, she works in the brothel, but not as a harlot. She works as a, you know, a cleaner, a house person, you know, like she helps keep things clean. But we see her watching her children. They're scrubbing the steps at the place where she used to live with her fake husband, and they're being yelled at by the person who I think used to be the nanny. And I can't remember if early on, like, did she used to yell at that woman and now that woman is getting revenge and yelling at her kids? Or maybe she didn't yell at the woman, but just by being black, maybe the woman was mad, like, this black woman is telling me what to do, and now she's taking it out on the children by yelling at them. But she's yelling at them to clean. And the newly freed fake wife, she's kind of watching, and I'm thinking she gonna try to snatch them kids up. And so is son of a Lennox, because son of a Lennox comes up, he sees her, and he orders the kids inside now, so she doesn't get her children. And then the next scene, we see her saying to this is the fake wife, the newly freed fake wife, saying to some of the prostitutes at the Wells, some of the harlots at the Wells establishment at the brothel, you know, I'm sorry if I appear disapproving. And they say, well, you know, we whores, you know, shit, you know. And then the other woman is like, you know, the money that I earn takes care of my daughter. And the newly freed fake wife is like, well, where's your daughter? Y'all hear that rain? Can you hear me? And she's like, my daughter is with my sister. I'm going to try to talk louder. So if you have to turn your thing down, turn it down. I didn't even know it was supposed to rain today. It was so beautiful when I went out for my walk earlier, and we were sitting out on the porch, and you know, I spent some time out on the porch socializing. I did not know that the rain was coming. So Quix's son brings, is his name Charles, the kind of chubby one who had basically really been into having sex with the harlots, but now he's fallen in love with this harlot that has come to Madam Quick's establishment from Madam Wells' establishment, and he just crazy about her. Is her name Emily? So he brings Emily Lacey a gift because he feels bad because she had to be with Mr. Osborne. So it's a sorry for Mr. Osborne gift. And Emily Lacey is like, you stand by and let your mother torment me and then think I'll take this gift of sugar pigs, you fat slob. You be a man, stand up to your mother. And then the son, I was surprised to see this, he loved that little girl. He goes to his mother, and later on he goes to his mother, Madam Quicks, and he says, I won't allow Emily Lacey to have Mr. Osborne, or Mr. Osborne to have Emily Lacey. I don't know, but you know what I mean. We ain't gonna have this happen anymore. And his mother at first is like, boy, don't be coming in here without knocking. And then she like, boy, get out. And then she like, okay, you handle it. You handle it. You tell him that he can't have her, and you make sure that he's satisfied, even if you have to satisfy him yourself. And then she's saying, I think to her help, he ain't gonna stand up to nobody, but he does stand up to the guy, and he looks a little nervous, he looks a little shaky, but he manages to stand up to the guy, and the guy is upset. He's like, I spend thousands of dollars in here, and I want the skinny blonde one, and I am not accepting anybody else. I want what I want. I spend money in here so I can have what I want, and so I can do what I want, and I'm about to go out here, and I'm gonna tell people from here to there, up and down, not to come to this establishment. You done lost me as a client, and I'm about to try to ruin this business. Because I can't have the skinny blonde girl to abuse. And Madam Quicks comes in. She don't come in quick enough to smooth the situation over. She's like, has there been a misunderstanding? And Mr. Osborne is like, no, I have been quite clear. And then the mother says to the son, I don't know what she says to him exactly, but basically, you just a fuck up. You know, you supposed to be here to bring business in, not to drive business away. You can't do nothing right. Oh boy. And then we see the Wells sisters again, Charlotte and Lucy. And the older sister is mentoring the younger sister. She's introducing her to society. I don't know if this is like the place where Charlotte goes to gamble, and that's where she has the potential to meet these rich men, or, you know, I don't really know where it is. But Lord Fallon, that's who she was saying to her mother, I'm going to get him to come to the party. And if he comes to the party, everybody's going to come. So they're socializing with the men and playing cards or gambling or whatever, and trying to get them to come to this masquerade ball. And the theme is Hades, like hell. And at first when I heard it, I thought they were talking about Haiti. I'm like, oh wait, let me rewind that. They dogging out Haiti now? Look, my voice got all high, got all mad. But they were talking about Hades, like hell. Like, you know, the woman is out there preaching, this is the gate of hell. And it's like, come on in and get you some sex, y'all. It's a party. It's an orgy. And it really was. They have animals and everything. So they're trying to get Lord Fallon to come to the masquerade ball at the Wells Moving Up brothel, and he's just so dry and above it all, and why would I come to another masquerade? And Charlotte is like, well, this one is going to be better, you know, you're going to get totally satisfied. And Lucy is like, I thought you were a man of discernment, and that, you know, my mother is the queen bard of all, she's the bawdiest of all the bards, she's the madam of all the madams, this is the hell. I thought you were a man who knew, who knew something. And he's like, I don't know if he says then that he's coming or not, but he does end up coming. And I think at this same event, you know, Charlotte, she's a social type girl. You know, she's charming, she's personable. So I don't know what Sir George expects from her, and I don't know. But anyway, she's talking to the guy, and I guess it's the Irish guy who is like basically a male harlot. I guess he hangs around. I don't know, you know, yeah, he's a male harlot. I guess he'll have sex with whomever for money. She's talking to him, and Sir George sees it, and you know, he's jealous anyway, so he gets really upset, and he's like, go home now. And she doesn't want to go home, and it's like this standoff, but she ends up going home. And then the Irish guy comes outside, or she doesn't go home, but she leaves, and the Irish guy comes outside, and she's like, my sister is in there. And he's like, yeah, but you got to go home, but I'll make sure your sister gets home safely. So she goes on, and then you know, and before Charlotte goes, she says, be wary, there's snares all around for us harlots. That's what Charlotte says. Charlotte the harlot. It rhymes, y'all. It rhymes. Okay, so we see Charlotte wakes up. She calls Quaxby, that's the manservant of Sir George, and she wants to know where Sir George was. And Sir George was out all night, so they kind of jab at each other. And he's like, well, he's probably finding somebody who's better, who cares about him. And she's like, oh, my heart, I'm so scared. He like, I thought you didn't have a heart. And she like, I thought you didn't have balls or a dick. So it's kind of like, And in one of the earlier episodes, I didn't mention, but she's laughing. They're like in the bed, and the Sir George has him come and hold up the pee pot so he can pee in it. And you can tell that that's not his normal job, because he's like, he would get one of the servants. And the man is like, well, you just as good a servant as anybody else. Basically, I own you, you ain't shit, and I want you to hold this while I pee in it. I want to humiliate you. And she laying in the bed laughing. So there's been this ongoing tension and humiliation thing going on between the two of them. And you'll see why I'm saying that in a minute. We see Madam Quicks visiting the sick religious lady in her room. You know, she lives in Madam Quicks's place, and she's like, you know, and so Madam Quick sends the daughter to get something from the apothecary. Don't we love that word? The apothecary. Like from the drugstore. Go to the apothecary and get something for her throat, some cough medicine. And she says, you know, I'm too sick to preach. I'm not going to do your bidding anymore. We're going to find a new house. That's what Miss Scamwell says. And the Madam Quick says, you know, I watched this shameless hussy, since you were a shameless hussy having sex on the street. Does your congregation know? Does your daughter Amelia know? Get your ass up out of bed and enjoy your preaching tonight. I'm not hearing all of this. So, you know, that's that. So we find out that the most religious of the religious was once a harlot too. Everybody's harlots. We see the preacher's kid, the PK, Amelia Scamwell. She sees the black harlot V, who used to live next door to the male Wells when they were in their original brothel. And she pickpockets a guy, and Amelia Scamwell, the PK, sees it, and then later on they run into each other, and the black woman is like, well, why didn't you tell? You saw what I did. And she's like, well, you know, I don't want to judge. And they're like eating together. Do you have money? And I don't know if the white woman takes the black woman out to eat, and I'm like, are they friends? What's going on? You know? And then we see that Quick's son stops Emily. Oh, so Emily Lacey, who is the prostitute the harlot who left the Madam Wells, and went to Madam Quick's, she trying to run because she done had this encounter with Mr. Osborne, and she like, I don't like it here, I want to go. But the son has her locked up, and he's like, don't leave, I'm here to protect you now. You see what I've done? You know, his mommy, my mommy has to stop treating me like a little boy. I'm a man now, I'm protecting you. Madam Quick's finds a virgin to lie to, a girl selling poppies for a penny. Do you have any children? I mean, you don't have a family, my child? Oh, well, come on and be with me. And she lies and tells her she's going to be a servant for a lady. And, you know, the girl is so thankful. Oh, you're so kind. And she wants to touch her. And, oh, thank you. And we don't know if she's feeling guilty or not, but Miss Quick act like she ain't feeling guilty. Somebody says when she comes out, oh, do I see a tinge of guilt? And she's like, I don't feel guilty worth a damn. So the Hades Masquerade, we're getting ready for that. All over the town, all over the city, the people are getting ready. There's no mask for Lucy. Lucy, oh, I can't have a mask. No, you must be seen, her mother says. So Sir George is still insecure of Charlotte's love. She tells him he loves her. He like, I told you not to lie to me. If you love me, you'd sign up to be my slave. That's a bug. Quix's son is taking 3 of Quix's harlots in order to steal clients away, and he's not taking Emily Lacey, although she wants to go, and she begs one of the women, please tell Margaret Wells that I want to come back to her. I want to come back to Madam Wells. But he has this plan to steal the clients away and show his mother that he's got a good business mind. He's an asset, not a liability. And we see Vi, who's the black harlot, who was the pickpocketing black harlot. She offers her new friend, the PK, the preacher's kid, Amelia Scamwell, a mask from far away. So is she coming to the masquerade, the religious child? You know how these PKs are. Rumor has it, I don't know personally, because the only preacher's kid I ever had any interaction with that I knew of was just, he was the sweetest little young man. I liked him. He was very sweet and cute and not wild at all. He took me to a dance or something. He was a cutie. The son of Lennox comes with his friends. It's on the house. I already told you about that. We see the newly freed fake wife. She boldly debuts as a harlot. She comes with her mask at the top of the stairs and says, I'm here to work, to Margaret Wells. And Margaret Wells is like, okay. And then one guy says something about who she is. And she's like, yes, I'm the queen of the queens. I'm Dido. I'm this, I'm that. It makes me want to watch that movie Dido again. Was it Dido? What was the movie called with Dido, with the black woman in England? But she debuts as a harlot. It's animals there. The party it's a orgy, but people pay to come in, so it's kind of like a rent party. Oh my God, it's 26 minutes in. And then I'm wondering, are the preacher's kid and Violet to be lovers? Because they're sitting there talking at the party. The preacher's kid does come to the masquerade ball, and they're talking, and then they kiss. Huh? Okay. So Dido, the newly freed fake wife, her first client, he says he always wanted royalty. And then once they get to going and, she start working her magic on him, he says, you're no queen. You're a goddess. The son of Lennox ends up seeing her, and he says, I always knew you were a whore. Mean. And she says, the newly freed fake wife says, yeah, for the first time in my life, I'm getting paid. She trying to buy her children, I guess. Or I don't know what her story is. Are Madame Quixley's harlots defecting? I think so. Loyal Lucy is cornered by her sister Charlotte's man, the jealous man who wants Charlotte to sign the paperwork, who she won't, and he wants sex. He wants free sex because he feels that she has to repay the debt of his dissatisfaction when he took her virginity. And the sister Charlotte sees what's going on, sees the sex happening, and the baby sister is like, just leave. And he's like, see, she likes me, she wants me, still trying to make her jealous. Fool. Quixley's mom is insulting her son. Madam Quix is insulting her son. Fool! You being run by that harlot Emily Lacey upstairs, and you're giving away my property to Wells. She talking about the harlots that went. They defected. I don't know if all 3 of them did. And she says she should have kept her daughter. A daughter never would have allowed herself to be duped by a whore. Why did I keep you? And he, like, kind of seems like he's sad and feels bad about that. And then we have a scene where Charlotte comes to the house. The guy opens the door, and she says something to the servant guy. And he's like, I'm not yours to be commanded. You don't own me. And she's like, you ain't shit. And I think she grabs him, like, in his penis area. And then he grabs her, and then they're having sex. So as I thought about, like, at first I was kind of like, huh? But there has kind of been this tension going on all along. But I don't know if it's sexual tension or what, because at the end they kind of look at each other, and I didn't really know what to make of the look. I don't know if he's like, yeah, I got you now, ho. Or I don't know. But that's it, y'all. I've been talking for a half hour on Harlots. Did you see it? Are you watching? I guess I like this show because I had a lot of notes to take, and I wanted you to know everything in case you missed something when you watched, or in case you don't watch. Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful day. Be fabulous. Be you. Be fabulous you. Mwah.